Hello, everyone. I'm Pastor Rebekah, and I am so excited to be joining you for our first installment of Continuing the Conversation. This is something new that we're doing at the Presbyterian Church of Okemos this summer. Every week, people like Pastor Lisa and myself, other people from our church community are going to be responding to what we heard in worship during a sermon or during adult ed. And I feel very lucky because yesterday in worship and in adult ed, we heard from Dr. Melissa Borja. She is an amazing scholar who she teaches at the University of Michigan. And her area of expertise is refugees, specifically Hmong refugees. And she focused on Hmong refugees that settled in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So we learned a lot from her sermon. She had a sermon called Beyond Welcoming the Stranger. And I wanted to just share, if you weren't in worship or didn't read this in the bulletin, she had some words of preparation that I found were so helpful in just thinking about before the service even started. It says, describing immigrants and refugees as strangers, in quotes, renders migrants as alien and distant, as people who are not of America but apart from America. But the truth is that immigrants and refugees are often not strangers, but people with whom Americans' lives are very much entwined. Seeking justice for migrants requires that we speak truthfully about our deep connections and interdependence. Some great words to think on, and so I hope that those meant as much to you as they did to me. One of the things I loved about Dr. Borja's sermon is she brought the lives of refugees and immigrants to life by sharing their stories. She said, our lives are deeply entwined with people who come here from other countries. These are people who often are tasked with doing some of the things that we require the most trust in another person to do. And what I mean by that is they are people who are working as nurses in our hospitals and our nursing homes for folks that are needing some extra care and extra help. These are often the people who are taking care of our children so that other adults can go off to work and know that their child is in someone else's good hands. As she shared this, I saw in my mind's eye many people who I know of that come from somewhere other than America that are doing this. People who have stories to tell and who do very important and beautiful work. People who offer some really remarkable perspectives to our country and to our world. And so I want to, in inviting everyone to continue the conversation, I'd like for you to think about some of the people who have a different cultural background that have had an impact on your life. Can you see them? How did your life intertwine with theirs? And beyond that, I wanted to continue the conversation by sharing something that was really meaningful to me about Dr. Borja's adult ed. In her adult education, Dr. Borja shared a lot about the fact that Hmong refugees, they don't necessarily have a religion that looks like some of the denominations that we have within Christianity, both Protestant denominations and the Catholic Church. They don't necessarily look even like some of the other religious traditions that we might find. Instead, it looks like what we might refer to as shamanism or ancestor worship. So she talked about how during influxes of immigration of Hmong people to our country, when they were told to claim a religion, it was very hard for folks to do that. It was very hard then, too, for people to explain what it was that they believed. She shared that there was a man who had immigrated who said he had no idea that there was a law in the United States that allowed you to legally believe what you wanted to believe and practice in the way that you wanted to practice. And so what I want to leave you thinking about is, how do we understand what religion is and what religion isn't in the United States? Is our understanding of this too narrow? Is it too broad? Who are we leaving out? And who are we privileging in our understanding of it? I hope that this was meaningful to you, and I hope too that we can continue these conversations for the whole summer, but really over the long term. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in a few weeks.